Hey everyone, and welcome back to Tiny Glade. My name is Daskalos, and I'm a professional archaeologist and certified interpretive guide. Everyone seemed to really like my last Tiny Glade video, and I thoroughly enjoyed playing it, so I figured I'd give it another shot. Now, last time we built the Vari house, which presented its own challenges, but today I think we're going to challenge ourselves a little bit more with the question, can you build a Greek temple in Tiny Glade? Well, let's find out. So for this, I think I'm going to try for an autumn glade. just kidding. We all know what happens when I click that. Instead, I'm going to go with the olden biome. All right, here we are. Let's jump into it. So the nice thing about the restrictions on building these structures is that I can have a designated width. So that's what the big square deals are here. Is that is as wide as they can go. Basically, I have my footprint, and it's sort of a game mechanic too, which is kind of nice. Now what I'm doing here is I'm actually putting the outer rim around the footprint so that I can have steps that go up to the actual temple itself. But the big two squares is actually going to be the outside colonnade for the temple. In case I didn't learn my lesson from last time, you're going to see me fiddling around with this to try to get everything sort of symmetrical and lined up. Here I go. I should have learned from last time. Now I'm placing these three buildings down to be the footprint of the inner portion of the temple. In the front will be sort of a entryway, a porch type thing, and then the middle one is going to be the main chamber, with the rear one not having access to the main chamber being the antechamber. To make things easier on myself, the actual walls of this inner temple portion are actually just going to be walls, not a building that I try to fiddle fart around with to make work. I'm just going to do walls. And for the portions here with the columns that separate the main chamber from the antechamber and the front portion, I'm just going to do a double wall to sort of cut off those columns, so that it's a little less noticeable. Now the main chamber usually has a row of pillars on either side, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm able to get basically 2 pillars per side for every one of these little buildings that I put in. Unfortunately, I can't space them apart because then there'd be gaps in the roof. So I've got to just sort of put them down. So each one of these individual structures is just a single pillar on each side. So now you can see how I'm going to do the roof, but unfortunately this thing kind of gets in the way, so I gotta continuously move it around to try to get it out of the way and move things in and move things out. It's kind of obnoxious, but I don't know, it works. It ends up working out, you'll see. So this temple is going to have a 6x13 layout. And what I mean by that is there's going to be 6 pillars in the front and back and 13 running along the side, which is pretty common for temples, is that they would have an even number of columns, or whatever the number of columns in the front would be doubled plus 1 on the side. And you'll see I use the same technique that I did for the inner temple portion here. I just add chunks of roof. And actually I should have stuck with this process so that I could have evenly spaced sort of runners going up the roof, but you'll see what I do. So these portions here I have to get exactly right so that I can pull the front building and its roof back and not get rid of the pillars underneath it. It's kind of wild. You just got to drop them down just far enough to where the bottom of the roof is a little bit below the bottom of the roof or whatever you're trying to cover, and it clips through, but it doesn't clip through in such a way to where the columns disappear. Anyways, you see it's really finicky, but you can do it. You just got to have some patience. Of course, I now realize I probably could have just used chunks of wall for pillars, but I mean, hindsight's 20/20 and all that. Just a quick reminder, if you like this stuff, be sure to let me know and I will continue doing things like this in the future. There's a lot of detail work I could probably try and do to this thing, specifically around this lip that goes above the columns but below the roof. There's a lot of stuff that goes in there, and I just don't know how I would go about doing it. I just have to screw around with the program to figure it out.